welcome to Midnight Slumber. I am your host, Zach Miller. Join me as we take a journey through the alternate realities that take place after midnight. This week, our story has some violence in it, so listener discretion is advised. Our adventurer stumbles upon a group of individuals who want to kill him. Enjoy the story, Samurai Beach. The waves gently rock this blue float back and forth. Even with my eyes shut, I can still see the bright, warm sun through my eyelids. My skin is nice and toasty, baked to perfection. The breeze feels wonderful, whisking away any form of sweat. My kids are laughing and splashing in the water to my left. My children shout, telling me to watch out. A small wave rolls over my float, waking me from my relaxing nap. The cool water is chilling, but refreshing at the same time. It takes a second for my eyes to adjust to the brightness, but as my sight comes into focus, I see that I have strayed a little further from the sandy white shore than I had hoped. It's not far, but I am just far enough out that my feet won't touch if I hop off this raft. Sitting up, I adjust my legs and let them dangle in the cool water. This water is crystal clear, allowing me to see the small schools of brightly colored fish swimming underneath me. Even a tiny stingray skims the smooth, silky sand as it glides by a patch of coral reef. My raft suddenly seems to be getting closer to the ocean's floor. I realize that the ocean water is getting pulled out from under me. Looking behind me, I see a large wave rapidly approaching. Immediately, I lay down and begin paddling with my arms. The wave pulls me in and pushes me up. I catch it just as it begins to crest. My laughter fills the air as I am now surfing this wave on a flimsy blue float. My kids shout for joy, saying, "Go, Dad, go!" Joy fills my heart as I wave at my wife watching us from the beach. However, as I wave, I start to lose my balance. I flip over and land on the beach upside down, but I gently slide to a stop because the sand is so soft. As I stand spitting the sand out of my mouth, I see a man dressed in all white standing by the hotel's exit. He is watching my family intently. I push myself up to my feet, and as I do, he rushes forward, grabs hold of my wife, and yanks her away with ease. I shout at my kids to come back in, but my dad, who is just a few feet away from where they are, tells me to go on, that he's got them. I rush after her and hear our children shouting for their mother. I burst into the hotel lobby and see multiple men all dressed in identical white tuxedos. They all have their white hats tilted to where I can't see their faces. My wife screams, hitting the man as he continues to drag her down the hall. The security guard lays on the marbled floor, split in two. The man closest to the guard holds a katana dripping crimson onto the marbled floors. The hotel manager and staff cower in fear, hiding from these men. Near me is a white-suited man lying on the floor, covered in the same color. Next to the man on the floor is another katana, which is close enough for me to grab, but I'm unsure if this will just provoke them. The guard clearly got a few shots off before he met their blade. I tell them to let my wife go, but the response I receive is not what I expect. They all pull out the same looking katana in unison. Their leader, who has my wife, just nods his head, and they rush towards me. I bend down, grab hold of the sword, and duck as the first blade comes so close to my face that I feel it trim my already short beard. Another blade comes screaming down towards me, and I block it with mine as I kick the feet out from the first guy. He falls face first on the ground, landing on his own sword, instantly ending his own life. Two more men swing their blades at me from the sides, and I slide under the man in front of me, allowing his men to take him out with their swings. The fifth guy barely sees me coming up from the ground as I drive my blade deep into his heart. The two men behind me rush at me again, I spin around and catch the man to my right with the edge of my blade, causing him to lose his mind. The guy to my left stops, hesitating to attack. We lock eyes, and his are deep black with red pupils. The man in front of me goes limp. Their boss, to my right, is holding the gun of the fallen security guard. He lets my wife go, telling her to run back to our children. I nod, letting her know I will be okay. She runs past me, and as she does, he moves the gun away from me to aim at her. I shift my weight, and as he fires, I push the sword in front of his line of sight. The bullet collides with my sword, breaking it, but stopping the shot. I now have half a sword, and my wife has made it out safely. He shifts his aim back at me, but it's already too late for him, as I have thrown the rest of the sword in his direction. The blade connects with his hat, turning it from a bright white to a stained red as he falls to the floor. I start to turn, but loud, heavy footsteps echo down the hall. A large shadow emerges from behind the corner ahead of me. A samurai standing 12 feet tall comes walking towards me. It stops to stand before me. Its armor is highly decorated in red, gold, and black, and drops a massive spiked ball connected to a chain. The mask on its face is one of a demon with sharp teeth, dragon scales, and horns that add another foot to its height. It lifts its chains, twirling the ball in the air, gaining speed until it produces a loud whirling sound. It releases the ball in my direction, and I dodge out of the way as it smashes into one of the cement pillars. The pillar obliterates, sending large chunks flying, just missing me. I rush forward to grab the gun, but one of the massive chunks of concrete has destroyed it. Instead, I grab another one of the swords on the ground as the sickle on the other end of the chain comes flying by me. I duck and cut the chain, releasing the sickle from his control. As he starts to swing the ball at me again, I grab the sickle and rush towards him. I jump onto the check-in desk, dodging his attack, and fling the sickle back at his face. It connects, cutting deep into the mask. The mask doesn't crack, but black smoke comes pouring out as the massive samurai falls to the ground. My cover is blown, and I must get my family out of here. Thank you for listening to tonight's episode. Please leave a comment and check out our social media on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We would love to hear your thoughts of tonight's episode. I'm your host, Zach Miller, and thanks for listening. Have a good midnight slumber.